I'm Jeannine Shao Collins, the Chief Client Officer of Kargo, and Kargo is an ad tech platform that puts the art into ad tech, and we're all about creative science and innovation. And I am a lucky woman today, not only because of this gorgeous background, oh my God, how can you call this work? It's so gorgeous. But I get to sit with my friend, Gabrielle Wesley, and she is the Chief Marketing Officer at Mars and Wrigley, and she is all about innovation and advancement and doing the right thing in marketing, which I'm really privileged to be sitting with her. And Gabrielle, before we begin in talking about our wants and hopes for the next generation in marketing and advertising, I want to hear a little bit about your career and how you came to be where you are today.
Yes, well, it is my pleasure to be here with you today and excited to have a chance for us to chat. I'm a career marketer. I started my career as an associate brand manager, just like many others aspire to coming out of business school. I went to business school so that I could be in marketing and
in Michigan, right?
Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Ross School of Business. The best decision I ever made. But I had the privilege to intern as a marketing intern at P&G and then ultimately start my career at General Mills as an associate brand manager. Move up the ranks there. I also had a marketing career at ConAgra, and now I'm at Mars. I started at Mars Pet Nutrition, and now I have the privilege of leading the marketing function for Mars Wrigley and the 26 wonderful brands that we have in confectionery and gum and snacking.
And before we started this interview, you were telling us a little bit about the personalities of all the different M&Ms and the new purple flavor that's on your sweatshirt and the personality. And I mean, what a fun brand. How much fun are you having?
I have so much fun every single day. I am repping Purple, who was launched late last year. She's our newest spokes candy. I love her because she's just so authentic and awkward and fun and transparent, and I think we all have our moments where we enjoy that. But I also think that we all have moments where we exhibit things that the other characters do. So, whether it's red or green or brown or blue, I think we can all find a little bit of ourselves in each of the characters at some point in time.
Well, I love that. And I love that you celebrate what's great about the characters, but what's not perfect about the characters. And that actually leads us really into our next conversation, because I know that you're very passionate about the next generation and making sure that you bring people along with you. When we spoke on Zoom a few months back, you were talking about your passion for that and all things DE&I, and making sure that advertising marketing is an inclusive space, because representation and authenticity matter. And so I want to talk about why you think the importance of mentors and the role mentors have meant to you in your career, and what you're doing right now in mentorship.
I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for mentors. I think that when you start in a company, in a culture, whether it's marketing or whether it's another function, there is a language that sometimes needs to be translated, especially a language of feedback and what feedback means. And the way that mentors have really benefited me is being able to translate the feedback that I might be getting from a line manager or a peer. What does that really mean? What does that mean in this culture? So when they say, you have tremendous potential, and I look forward to you, really moving into your potential, that's code for, I think that you can do more and you need to do more. But you don't learn that unless someone can translate that for you. And I've had mentors throughout my career that have helped me. And then I've paid that forward because I do think that there are sometimes people who are less familiar with corporate culture or a culture of a particular company, and they need somebody to help translate some of the messages that they're hearing.
That's great. I mean, so I would love to hear a little bit about who have been your greatest mentors, and also Did you pick them or did they pick you? Or was it a little bit of both? Tell me about that journey with those people.
Yeah, so I always talk about my first line manager being a really great mentor because he led from example. When I was a first year ABM, he was the epitome of what I thought a brand manager should be. He was approachable, he was polished, he was intelligent, he was knowledgeable, he was collaborative, and I really modeled a lot of what I wanted to be as a brand manager after him. But I had also really great mentors that weren't line managers for me. They were some of them I chose because there was just a natural relationship. There was a natural connection that happened. And then others, I was a part of formal mentorship programs. And I think formal mentorship programs can be great because they help you introduce yourself and your experience to other people that you wouldn't have normally had a chance to connect with. But sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. I had a really wonderful mentor through a Women in Leadership program that really helped me stay into brand management. Oh. She was a CEO of of her own organization. She had moved up the ranks in marketing, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay in brand management, probably 3-4 years into my career, and she helped me to sort through that and stay in because she felt like I had the potential and the passion for the brands. I wasn't necessarily great at the logistics pieces of it, but she says a lot of that goes away as you move up in your career, and so that helped me to stay.
So you could see the long view.
I could see the long
and
view.
The journey, and that's interesting. And I would never have thought, just looking at you as a career marketer and have done so many things that at one point you thought you might abandon it, but this mentor helped you see the path. That's great.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that a lot of times people don't talk about are the doubts that they have. And not everything in marketing is butterflies and rainbows and candy rainbows, right? Not everything is that. There are parts of the job that are tough, whether it's forecasting or project management or those types of things. And as early in your career, those are all really important stepping stones to be able to learn how to build strategy and the implications for making sure those strategies stick. But sometimes when you're in it, it's hard to see that.
That's and I think for advice to anyone going up their career, it's like okay to have doubts, right? And you have to have people to be able to help quell them or answer those long-term questions. I think that's really good advice. When you're approaching mentorship from the other side, tell me about your journey at Mars when mentoring the people beneath you or around you. And, does Mars have a formal mentor program or is it Gabrielle's program?
I think that there's both. I think mentors are connected and found. And for me, I really focus on people who have the potential but need feedback. I think feedback is a tremendous gift that we don't spend a lot of time teaching people how to take and apply.
That's true. And I think it's hard for people to give feedback because sometimes they don't want to be thoroughly honest, right?
Absolutely. I think the hardest thing to do is to give feedback. And so the best way to ensure that you're getting the right feedback is to be a tremendous receiver of feedback. So when you get it, make sure that you are appreciative and that you follow up, you ask questions about it. And when you receive feedback, it's really hard not to be defensive because you are wanting to protect the hard work that you've done. But when you're open about receiving the feedback, people want to help you and they want to make you better. But it's very, very difficult to give feedback to someone that is defensive. that.
So what advice, when someone's about to be defensive or starting from a defensive posture, what advice would you give them? It's like stop and listen or take notes or, because sometimes it's visceral, right?
Absolutely. I think that you have to practice receiving feedback and practice how you receive that feedback before you get it.
Oh, interesting.
Practice your face. Practice your posture. Have in your mind ready, if I receive feedback, how will I feel that in my body? How do I want it to receive?
Gabrielle, you could write a book on that because, the body language of receiving feedback. I mean, I don't think that people go into meetings thinking about their body language or their unspoken language. It's interesting. I love that.
That is the first thing people will see. And however you show up physically tells you whether they'll continue.
And, my mother always used to say it's not always what you say, right?
It's how you say it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's really, really great advice. I feel like you're mentoring me now. Really. And I know that you and I spoke when we got on the phone last time, how important it is to pay it forward, especially for women in business. And so can you tell us what specifically you would give mid-level career women advice on? Because, we have our own sets of things that we could fall into and how to overcome those stereotypes, if you will.
Absolutely. I am so passionate about mentoring mid-level career women because I do think it is a fork in the road. Every woman has some decision that they need to make, whether it's, do I continue in this career? Do I continue on this path? Do I take a break for family? Do I relocate for a partner? I think at that level, there's so many decisions that you have to make. But I also think that those decisions need to be made with the help of a mentor or several mentors. Because I think sometimes it's really hard when you're in the moment to make the decision. Some things are very emotional. And sometimes a mentor or coach can help you to sort through some of those feelings so that you can get to the brass tacks. I remember a woman that I mentored. She was deciding whether she was going to leave the workforce because she had young kids and the demands to continue to accelerate in her career became very challenging. And I encouraged her to sit down in a very nice place like this and have a discussion with her husband and say, what do you want for your family? What do you want for each other individually as a family? And to talk about whether that was the right thing for how they saw their lives moving forward. She was surprised to hear that advice. And then she was even more surprised to hear that her husband was at a place where he was willing to plateau in his career so that he could help with the family so that she can accelerate in hers. And she continued to accelerate in her career because of that. But I think had she not seen other mentors or seen other women that were going through that same challenge, make different decisions, I don't think she would have had the courage to even approach that conversation.
Well, that's not just career advice. That's life advice, right? That's great. And what a huge benefit for her to have that and to say to someone that you should have that conversation. That's amazing. That's a great example. I love that. Now, I guess I know that we're coming up on time, but, for you, what advice would you give the next generation of women if you were to say it in one sentence?
Own your own development. I think that it's really important to know yourself, to know your strengths, know your opportunities, and work your hardest to develop yourself into your own goals and your own aspirations. A company can't do that for you. A coach can't do that for you. A mentor can't do that for you. You have a community to help you, but ultimately it's going to have to come from you.
I love that. I feel like I've gotten an incredible mentor session by this interview. I mean, it's been really a pleasure. I have to say, so smart, Gabrielle, so smart. And I think we would all benefit from following this advice. Own our own development. Love it.
Thank you.